Comment your questions now in the chat or call Reverend Al Sharpton directly on air at 877-532-5797. Now stay tuned for Reverend Al.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton. As you watch the broadcast, support National Action Network. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and be involved. You can join, take your membership right online, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Getting ready to start the program, but we need you to be part of the movement. I had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talents in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones. And too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they got to open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their home, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old.
11 years old. You just turned 40 and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do in National Action Network?
I formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advise the youth on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughter started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the doors open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people than you that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that grumbles with you about so-and-so didn't do something for them, maybe it's because they didn't feel you were ready, or that they felt if they did it, you wouldn't do it on your own. But we all don't live forever. I want the next generation to speak of me, of National Action Network, and others. the way I speak of Reverend Jones and Bishop Washington and Shirley Chisholm and Reverend Jackson. But I just don't want young people to feel that somebody ought to give them the reins of leadership or give them the reins of business or whatever it is you're in. You need to learn from their journey, get the pearls of wisdom from them, but don't have them do for you, because then it means you can't do it for yourself.
It's Thursday. February the 5th. Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, all fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you all across the country, and good morning to our West Coast listeners. Welcome to those listening on Sirius XM, Channel 126, The Urban View, where talk becomes power and action, and talk empowers and becomes action. Let me will also raise, this is Black History Month, the 100th anniversary of Black History. So I want to hear from you on the message board at nationalactionnetwork.net and nationalactionnetwork.net, the message board. Or you can call in and be heard nationwide all over the country and various parts of the world. All you have to do is call us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. And Julie Alexander's on the message board saying, good afternoon, Reverend Al Sharpton, Keeping It Real, watching from Wesley Chapel, Florida, originally from the Bronx, New York. God bless. Well, God bless you down there in Florida, Bronxite. That's fine. And then Mr. Sharpton, let's not forget his name, Trayvon Martin, would have been 30 years old today. Trayvon Martin would have been 30 years old today. Thank you, Reddy Samdi, for making that announcement to me. And I think that it is extremely important. Nicola DeMarco from Tacoma, Washington. My friends and I are registered for the 4th year to attend the April NAN conference. Always inspiring and highest level. You endure so much. We appreciate all that NAN does. Well, I'm telling you, I said I was going to wait till next week to release some of the names, but it's going to be hot and heavy. A lot of our top political leaders, top cultural leaders, people that you hear may run for president. You want to be at this convention. It's all free. And Nicola, I'm looking for you and the Tacoma crowd to be there. Make sure y'all come up and give me a hug. Well, the president went into the National Prayer Breakfast, and yesterday you heard on the show Congressman Jonathan Jackson, who was one of the bipartisan sponsors. They always have to get people from different parties. And the readout that I have from the prayer breakfast, that Trump was joined by House Speaker Mike Johnson, Attorney General Pam Bondi, Singer Jelly Roll. And the major announcement is that Trump used the prayer breakfast to announce new Education Department guidance at protecting prayer in public schools, floated a large national mall prayer gathering for May 17, 2026, and drew backlash by comparing Democrats to the Gestapo while discussing COVID-era restrictions. Interesting. So he wants to bring prayer back into schools, but hadn't done nothing about gun safety in the schools. Hasn't done anything about restoring Black history in the schools. And I think that it is absolutely interesting. Absolutely interesting. Absolutely. Well, let's talk about all of this. 1-877-532-5797. Patty Simmons says, we need you here in North Dakota. God bless you. Invite me. I'd love to come to North Dakota. Invite me. Invite me. Let's put something together. I'd love to come. And Reuben Powell says, good afternoon, Reverend Al. Happy 20th anniversary on your Keeping It Real radio show. Could you talk to your producers to play some of your past guests on your early shows? Yeah, let's do that. Play some of, I'd love to get some of the tapes of James Brown when he called in. James Brown called in the show the year he died. Is the year I started the show. Aretha used to call in. Barack Obama. Let's get some of them old tapes and play it. I think that is a very good idea. The Mayor Rodney Jones, says that the president, instead of talking unity, he spoke devilishness and divisiveness. You know, I think that it's real clear that this president, if you remember that when he was running for, and they asked him, was he a Christian? He said, yeah. They said, are you, read the Bible? Yes. What's your favorite book in the Bible? He said, 2 Corinthians. Didn't even know it was 2 Corinthians. So I didn't have much expectations of what he do at a prayer breakfast. I don't believe that he is sincere when he talks about his religion. But to put prayer back into school, which is now going to be a constitutional issue, because I remember when I was a kid, someone fought all the way to the Supreme Court to take prayer out of the school, saying that they were an atheist and that it infringed on their rights. And you're going to get some of that this time, and you're going to get some that'll say, well, prayer in what religion? But what I'm saying, because I believe in prayer. I pray all day, every day. Do my morning thoughts right after prayer. You that follow me on Instagram, I give a message every morning and from the gym every day on what I prayed about. But your prayers should be consistent with your behavior and your morality and your values, and not used as some empty piety that has nothing to do with nothing. And it is amazing to me how we allow people to misuse prayer, just like people misuse other things. People misuse politics. I think we've got to hold everybody out. I hold the Democrats accountable and the Republicans accountable. Now, Democrats on some issues are better than the Republicans, which is why I think a lot of our elected officials go Democrat. But you still got to hold their feet to the fire. And the same with the Republicans and this MAGA crowd. Every ethnic group in America stands up for their base community and will go Republican or Democrat, whatever benefits their constituency the most. The problem I think you got with Republicans, black Republicans, and I've had Byron Daniel on my show, Republican congressman, black, and who's running for governor of Florida. Problem they got is their party is not trying to say they do anything for blacks. They're using blacks as their, straw man to beat up on. That's the problem. So people say, Reverend, why y'all go with the Democrats? Republicans are not trying to talk to us. I don't understand how you trying to be with somebody ain't trying to be with you. They're trying to use you as the backboard to score with white voters. It's just that simple. To come in office saying you're going to end diversity, equity, and inclusion, and you're going to ban black history. They came in declaring war against blacks. So it don't take a rocket scientist to figure out that you don't need to be with anybody that's not on your side. Well, Reverend, the Democrats are not perfect at all, but they're not advocating our demise. And we got only marginal stuff more with the Democrats. They did stand up and give diversity, equity, and inclusion. We did have a low unemployment number under the Democrats. We did deal with police reform when they couldn't get the bill passed because of blockage in the Senate. Joe Biden did do an executive order with video cameras on police that we should have on the ICE people, the body cameras. So I'm not for Democrat or Republican. I'm for who's on for me. Then you have the Epstein files. James Thomas is saying, God, don't show us the Epstein files. And every time they do a dumping, now they got huge Bill Gates and huge people name all through the files. And for these people to either have participated or had knowledge of this kind of sick, debaucherous behavior is inexcusable for me. So let's talk about all this. A lot to talk about this Tuesday, and I will take a break and come right back to you, and you. Keep it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
But the fact of the matter is, Rosa Parks was not only the mother of the modern civil rights movement, she was the mother of this nation. Why would you say that, Sharpton? Because you called George Washington the father of the nation, but when he became father, we wasn't included in the nation. Women were not included in the nation. The first time we had a parent in this nation is when all of us was included, and Rosa Parks did that on December 1st, 1955. I heard somebody say Jim Crow is who she fought, and Jim Crow is still around. But Jim Crow is old. That's not who I'm mindful of today. The problem is Jim Crow has sons. The one we got to battle is James Crow Jr. Esquire. He's a little more educated. He's a little slicker. He's a little more polished. But the results are the same. He doesn't put you in the back of the bus. He just puts referendums on the ballot to end affirmative action when you can't go to school. He doesn't call you, erase your name. He just marginalizes your existence. He doesn't tell you that he's set against you. He sets up institutional racism, where you have a nation respond looking for weapons in Iraq that are not there, but can't see a hurricane in Louisiana that is there. James Crow Jr. Esquire. That's who we got to fight. And if we are to win, if we are to really memorialize Rosa Parks, she would tell us to do in the generation of his son what she and Dr. King did to his daddy. They didn't talk a fight, they fought the fight. They didn't show up at funerals, they showed up on the picket line and the march line and the jailhouse. It amazes me that we sit there acting like we don't have work to do. And that many of us in our own community are mocking her memory. They formed a movement when they had none of what we got. You realize that Dr. King and Dr. Abernathy and them formed a boycott after Rosa Parks, where people stayed off the bus for a year, went to rallies every night, and they never had email, never had a cell phone, never could go online. Here you got 2 cell phones in your pocket, emails, computers at the house, and can't even get a block association meeting together. We've got so much more that they gave us, and we're doing so much less with it. They went to vote when people were threatening their lives. Medgar Evers was shot dead in his driveway, left 3 children inside that never knew how it was to have a father in their adult years, died to give us the right to vote. Pregnant women marched through the streets of Birmingham. They sick police dogs on them to give us the right to vote. 4 little girls bombed in a church in Birmingham, Alabama to give us the right to vote. And here you are 40 years later in Detroit, Michigan. No dogs biting you, no bombs going off, no bullets, too lazy and ungrateful. Making mockery of her memory. Making mockery of her memory. Nobody should have to beg you to vote. Nobody should have to beg you to stand up and protect the rights that they died and suffered to give us. You can't take care of one thing on the ballot in Michigan when they had to change the laws of all 50 states. You complaining about one referendum when they did a whole revolution and never fired one shot. And then you turn it around on each other. Why do I want my daughters to visit that stone? Because I want them to know black women are not hoes. You have music companies selling misogynist records to our children. Black womanhood was Rosa Parks sitting in dignity. She wasn't break dancing. She wasn't talking about pimp me out. She made the world respect her people. So I want to thank Reverend Jackson and Mrs. Jackson and others that taught us a little younger who Rosa was, and we got to pass that on. Now I want to challenge everybody here today that when we leave here, you ought to make a Rosa resolution. You ought to make one commitment in her name to yourself. That you're going to either join some organization or you're going to stand for some policy. You ought to make a Rosa resolution. You ought to resolve that you're going to do something that'll make a difference, because we're here because she made a difference. Most people come and go, and we never come to say goodbye because their hellos didn't mean anything to us. But we're here because she touched every one of us. And we need to make a Rosa resolution. I said to some of the young rappers the other day, talking to me about, well, you get on us about calling women out their names. I said you need to come and know the story of a dignified woman They make the excuse, Mayor Kilpatrick said, well, you know, we love Aretha and that generation, but we just kick it like we see it. We just mirrors that reflect what we see. But there's something strange about that. I use a mirror every morning. But I don't get up out the bed, hair all over my head, sleep around my eyes, slobber around my mouth, walk outside talking about I'm going to keep it real. Mirrors are not only to reflect what you see, mirrors are to correct what you see. You need to make a Rosa resolution that we're going to correct what we see. We're going to keep the fight going. And we're going to have James Crow Jr. Esquire know that we are the children of those that change the world. My Rosa resolution is they won't have no rest until we finish the fight. Wherever I see an injustice, I'm going to stand up. If I can't stand up, I'm going to speak out. And if I can't speak out, I'm going to do like a Rosa. I'm going to get me a chair and just sit in the way.
It is really a intersection of both emotions, because when I was 11 or 12 years old, so I watched the news a lot and I became enthralled with the image of Adam Clayton Powell. I was around 11 and I convinced my mother to let me come up to this church to see Adam Clayton Powell. And in those days, people in Brooklyn used to say it's dangerous to go to Harlem. And folk in Harlem say it's dangerous to go to Brooklyn. Keeping it real. Now, I'm your host, 135th Street, and I came, sat right back Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. And I was talking about the president at the prayer breakfast. He also did a wide-ranging interview with NBC last night with Tommy Lamas. And I know Tommy because when I ran for president 21 years ago, he was what did they call it? Not an intern, but like that, though. He was in bed on my campaign, the whole campaign in South Carolina and all. Now he's the national host of NBC Nightly News. So I tease him, tell him I watched him grow up. But he did the interview anyway with President last night. And in it is where Trump says, well, we going to have to deal with the immigration thing a little lighter, but he doesn't say he's going to change any policies. And he said that he was not happy about the killing of the two people. And there needs to be, and my quote was, it needs to be a softer touch. What do you mean softer touch? You're talking about you killed two people. And he talked about, he took credit for the economy, even though the inflation is up, unemployment is up, black unemployment is up, and he took credit for AI growth, and he floated, but he did not commit to these tariff rebate checks that he had talked about. And he questioned whether or not the Federal Reserve ought to be independent. So it's very interesting that first he gave NBC the interview, and then it was all of these things came out. He definitely is saying that they need to get past the Epstein case. Now, let's not forget, it was the Republicans and Trump and them that was pushing the Epstein case, saying the Clintons were hiding something. Well, the Clintons said, all right, we'll come in. You can depose us, just make it public. No, private, no. tape it, video it, put it out. Now let everybody else come in. And it's going to be very interesting where this goes. There's no way. I was talking to some of the young people around here at Nan Corporate, Reverend Marshall and Jay. I do not judge anybody. But when you deal with children, then that's about the pair. You need to be at the bottom of a jail. Children, I mean, live your life whatever you want with consenting adults. I may not agree with it, but I'm not going to interfere with it. I just withdraw, I ain't going to deal with it. But children need to be put up under the jail. No doubt about it. All right, let me say by way of announcements that Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, live at 5 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, and it's going to be hot. They're in the middle of trying to work out how they're going to deal with this immigration reform. I'm certainly going to have someone from the Senate. Well, I know who, one of the best situated in the Senate. Talk about that, members of Congress. Where are we with Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, which we're waiting in the day for the Supreme Court, but also dealing with redistricting. Maryland, they're trying to redistrict. I'm going to deal with that a lot. I'm going to deal with Black History Month, why they're trying to take it out of the school, and what are the roles of black institutions. So make sure you watch both Saturday night and Sunday night. Do not miss it. And you that are in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut vicinity, I am excited about Saturday's Action Rally. It'll be the first rally that we will be doing as we're in transition to our new building, and we're doing it at a historic site. I mean, you couldn't ask to be at a better place, Black History Month, for all the Saturdays in Black History Month. We'll be at Mother AME Zion, 140-6 West 137th Street. That's 137th between 8th and Lenox. And Mother AME Zion is a historic site. Sojourner Truth came through there, freeing slaves. That site, Mother AME Zion, which she was part of that burgeoning movement, was right there, Mother AME Zion. Paul Robeson was a member of that church. His brother was a pastor in that church. Madam C.J. Walker was funeralizing that church. So I'm looking forward to you all meeting me there, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., regular hours. But we moved out of 145th. We're going to be at the Mother AME Zion Church for the next 4 weeks on Saturdays. And then I will announce our new headquarters. Nan's new headquarters is going to stun a lot of people. And we're going in there bigger and badder than ever. And don't forget, as we do that, don't forget everybody, Lottie Dottie and everybody is getting ready for the National Action Network Convention. And I can tell you, I'm going to announce some of the names next week, but I can tell you, you're going to want to be at this convention if you're interested in economic empowerment, criminal justice reform, who is going to be running for president next, how are we going to deal with the midterms, health care, our women's luncheon, our ministers. You're going to want to be at this convention. It's all free. All free. All you have to do is register, as thousands already have now, so I'm going to run out of space in a minute. So all of you that got that, oh, I meant to do that, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, wow, how'd I forget? Well, we can't remember those that are not on the list. So go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, or you can go to the toll-free number and sign over the phone at 1-877 626-4651, 1-877-626-4651. Let me say a word, as I said, that my prayers are out to Samantha Guthrie and looking for her mother. And hopefully the sheriff's office there is saying they still believe she's alive. I would not want to see anyone go through that. I've known Nancy. We worked together in the same building. I did Politics Nation out of there for 14 years until it became MS Now, rather MSNBC. But yes, I pray for her safe return, and I pray for a lot. I'm praying for the Porter family. People not talking about how ICE killed that young man in Los Angeles. Pray for the Porter family and all the families that ICE is abusing. I'm getting ready to take my break. I also, Mayor Rodney Jones is on the message board. He's right. Another part of Black history is that Mother Hazel Dukes, Queen Hazel Dukes' funeral was there at AME Zion. She wanted her funeral where Madam C.J. Walker's funeral was. Hazel Dukes, leader for decades of the NAACP in Greater New York. So we're going to be at the right place for history, for Black History Month. Make sure you're there. Let's take a break and be right back. Keeping it real, keeping it real, keeping it real. Sharpton.
I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. Just break. I believe that.
Good morning, everybody. I hope the coffee has kicked in by now. I want to start by thanking your leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton, and everyone at the National Action Network for 35 years of standing up for civil rights and opportunity for everyone.
And I couldn't be more grateful for the way that you have blessed the lives of so many, including mine.
As we look today on King Day, let us not forget that we had to struggle to even have this day. They did not wake up one morning and say, let's give a federal holiday to Martin Luther King. People petitioned, people marched. Let us remember now as we bring our children and grandchildren up the Potomac, that they can see the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, and one memorial that never served as president, but changed this country more than any other American, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
This was an amazing MLK breakfast.
It is truly an honor, and more importantly, this is an important day for us.
I feel incredibly lucky and honored to be in this room on this day, celebrating Dr. King's legacy of civil rights, especially in the moment that we're facing on a national level. It feels like warmth and home being in this room.
So I'm encouraged by today. I'm encouraged that we're getting out, we're protesting, but more needs to be done. We need to lean in.
And let's keep fighting because the job is not done here. And I just feel so honored to get this award. It's not about getting an award, it's about doing the work. And let's keep up with the work.
It's been a long time coming, but I know.
1968, Dr. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the freedom.
I have a dream today.
Hello, New Orleans. Let me tell you straight. They did not think we could come and be here tonight. They cut budgets and advertising, but one black man, Rich Newton, said, I don't care. My families come together every 4th of July weekend, and essence will happen, because that's who we are. Give a big hand to Rich New Dennis for bringing us back. Why do we come? Because the essence of who we are is essential to what made this nation. We built this nation. We made this nation. We created the essential dollars that this nation lives off of. We don't care what bill they pass. We will not back up. We will not back down. We will not give in. We will not be chased out. We don't care who's in the White House. We will organize our house by house. We came over the Middle Passage. We survived slavery. We survived Jim Crow. Don't you give up now. Don't you turn back now. Stand up, black man. Stand up, black woman. Reclaim your dignity. Reclaim your place. So we stand with the Black Economic Forum. We stand with Essence Magazine because that's who we are. So don't give in now. Yes, it's some rough days, but we've been through rougher days than this. Yes, Trump is a bad dude, but we beat badder dudes than Trump. So let's party with a purpose, because our rhythm and our music reminds us who we are, because we can smile through our pain and organize for our gain. Let's stand up and let's celebrate who we are. Thank you, God bless you.
Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Or you can go to the message board at nationalactionnetwork.net. nationalactionnetwork.net. All right, let me go to the message board. I had to update my board here. And let's start in Georgia, WAOK in Georgia. Let's talk to Carol. Carol, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Hi, I'm so so glad I had the phone on low. I got sucked into work emails for a minute. Reverend Al Sharpton,
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
an
I'm glad
honor
you.
to
I'm
be.
glad you turned it back up so I can hear your voice. I'm excited to talk to you as you are to me. So go ahead, Carol.
Yes, so let me tell you what I did last night.
All right.
I became a member of NAN again.
Oh,
I was a years ago, right? And
right.
and I don't know what happened, but I guess I got caught up in life. But I said, you know what? I need to be a part of an organization that their root mission is protecting our people.
Right. That's right.
And your history of civil rights, defensive, criminal justice reform, that's we need your covering, Reverend Al Sharpton, the covering of National Action Network. We need to be covered just like we need to be covered by a church. We
Right.
need to be covered by a strong organization that gets it. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I listen to you every day while I'm working. And it's funny because I got your commercials down to the minute. And I literally put my timer on. I ain't gonna tell nobody else. I ain't gonna let nobody know your formula. But I put my timer on, and then I go into a work sprint. And then when the alarm go off, I say, okay, time to listen to Al again.
Wow.
And then I go do some chores that I could do while I'm listening to you. But listen to the other thing I did. I signed up for the convention.
You did what?
I signed up for the convention.
Ah, wow. You were saying
I'm
it so.
coming to the convention.
I love it. Look, Carol.
Can
Whatever
you
you
believe
do,
it?
when you get to convention, you tell them you're Carol that told me that on the air. Make sure I meet you. Anybody as excited as you are about the convention, I want to give you a hug. You make sure that you tell any of the security around there. Reverend Al said that he wanted to meet me. Now, I love it. I love it. And does her timing by our commercials. Now, that's commitment. And that's all I'm talking about. Somebody just help us do this work. God bless you, Carol. I'm looking for you in April.
One more thing.
Go ahead.
One more thing. I pulled up on the where it says find your chapter.
Right.
And so there's the Atlanta chapter and the DeKalb County chapter. You don't have a chapter in Gwinnett where I am and where I do all my civic duty work.
Right.
Right? But like I'm gonna connect with the other chapters and get involved that way.
All right, get involved that way, and then let them tell you how we can get into Gwinnett, who we need to work with out there. So let's work this out.
Need to work with me.
That's what I'm saying. You just stepped up, and we gonna hold you up. That I love it. But I'm gonna look to meet you in April.
But I'm thinking to the Gwinnett Democrats and other like the African American Caucus,
Right.
NAACP,
The churches.
And my church is a strong church in Snellville, Berean Christian Church. I'm involved with their civic engagement ministry. Actually, I'm one of the founders.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Selected by the deacon. And also, I can't forget Caribbean Georgia Vote, that organization as well. I'm the assistant secretary. So
wonderful.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's do it.
Well, Janet overall just put Carol in a heart. She sent a heart to you, so people hearing you all over the country. I'm looking forward to meeting you. Let's do it and hook up with those chapters there so we can get into Gwinnett with you heading us in the right direction. Thank you, Carol. That's a positive call. Somebody want to get involved. And I take the calls that, may be critical or maybe questioning or maybe something else. But every once in a while, I agree with you, Patty Simmons put on the chat. God bless you, Carol. Keep shining. Every once in a while, I need an encouraging call like Carol. I really do, and I'm glad about it. And I'm not apologizing about it. Everybody needs a pat on the back sometimes. I don't mind sparring and fighting and arguing with some of y'all. But every once in a while, I like to hear something that's positive. Let's go together down this road that God has laid out before us. Let's go to Brother Meach in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Brother Meach.
Hey, good afternoon. Can you hear me, Doc?
I do hear you.
Yeah, I was listening at you earlier, and you were talking about the president. You talk about having a prayer back in school, and you said, well, he didn't discuss anything about guns in the school, and you're right. But if we bring prayer back, sometimes that has a conviction on people's mindset that guns will be, they won't bring guns to the school. That's one comment. Then you talked about the children. If a man is involved in some stuff, I guess you were referring to the Epstein or something like that. I don't know.
Right,
Is that what you were referring to?
Right.
Okay. Well, okay, and you're right. A consenting adult, that lifestyle should be on a consenting lifestyle. Why force that on children? However, when you look at Target, the Target experience, to shut down Target, the DEI movement there. Well, if you go back to 2003, where the root of it is, see, a lot of people don't see the root, Doc. They just see what the cause is up front and they go for it. If you look at the root, their Target had these baby outfits, these little baby transgender bathing suits, okay? And those deals were for children. So black folk, white folk, Republican, and Democrat stood up against that particular thing because it was targeted towards children in that particular lifestyle. So it went crazy. So when Trump got in there, he went against the DEI program, and Target, they went against it. So by them going against it, black people that's not learned, don't know how it all started, we just grab onto it. And it seems like it's an attack on us because of we've allowed people to come in and attach themselves, different ethnic groups, different lifestyles, to attach themselves to the black man experience here in America, man. And they've attached themselves to us like parasites. And sometimes you have to cut the cancer out, and it seems like it's an attack on us. But when you look at the removing of the books, here's a book called When a Darian Became a Brother. Okay, these are books that are in our schools that need to be eliminated. Children are fascinated with fairy tales.
Okay, but wait a minute, Meach. Let's go back to the top. First of all, prayer in the school will not deal with the guns in the school unless you're praying about the guns in the school and unless you're praying for the right legislation to deal with it. Just having Trump put prayer in the school, they could be praying to give me more AK-47s. It's according to what you praying saying. So you can't make a blanket statement that if they have prayer in the schools, maybe the guns will be gone. It's according to what they praying. It is a lot of the Christian right that are fighting for the right to have guns and fighting to carry guns. And I've said, and I'll repeat, I said it yesterday when I had Congressman Jackson on, the Christian right needs to meet the right Christians. They're not talking about laying down their swords and shields. They're talking about arming. So just putting them in the school praying is not going to solve the gun problem. That's one.
It's not just them.
Wait a minute. I didn't interrupt you, did I? Secondly, in terms of what they did in terms of, I don't know the details of what you said about what Target did years ago and everybody uniting against it. And everybody should unite against anything that's going to influence children wrong. But we got to be clear. So I will check out what you're saying on that. But I'm clear that just having undisciplined, focused prayer in the school and you don't know what they're doing, they could be praying. You got to remember, they used to take black folk from the church down to the town square and lynch us after church. So I don't want them kind of prayers in the school. All right, go ahead, Meach.
That's called charismatic witchcraft. When you pray,
I don't care what you call it. It's wrong.
No. I understand that, and I'm with you on that. If you plan to arm up, that's a charismatic witchcraft that's being used against a certain person. I get that part. I understand what you're saying. But and you're right. It should be a Pacific prayer being played. Now you got me there, Doc. That's just Bible. It should be. They should be even agreeable. They should be on one accord.
They said that if any two of you touch and agree, we got to agree on this thing, Doctor. I'm for prayer. I pray all day, every day. First thing I do in the morning is pray. Last thing I do at night is pray. But we got to touch and agree on the word, not have it misused. Thank you for your call. Always good to hear from you, Brother Meach. You always got something to say. Make me think. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton. Be right back.
Thank God I was blessed to have both in my life. Both historic, strong figures. But if I misuse them and listen to not only figures that are not as historic as them, but figures that had nothing to do with the calling and purpose of my life, I would live confused. I'd be double-minded. I'm clear. And what I want you to do is be clear. Clear on who you are and why you are. And a lot of that will be exposed to you and others by who you are around and who you allow to enter your head. Keep people at a distance that only have a distant and unclear vision of who you are and who you are supposed to be. They could be your blood relatives, but they could not be the ones that accompany you toward what you ought to be about tonight. Everybody good to you ain't good for you. Everybody that makes you laugh sometimes end up making you a joke.
Reverend Sharpton, how do we begin to make peace with our past?
I don't think it's our obligation to make peace with our past. I think it's our obligation to learn from our past and to understand that soon we gonna be the past. I mean, a lot of us act like we gonna be permanent and that the past is the past. If we draw on the strengths of the past and uphold the dignity and the integrity of our people, and then perform it at our highest level in our generation, as Dr. Moss said. That's our obligation. You know, one of the reasons that I've been so concerned about this cultural tone that we're in now is a lot of us have lost the dignity that our community has shown from Jamestown to now. I've questioned some of the artists that no longer sing to uplift us. And there's never been a generation that didn't use our music and our culture to lift us up. And the excuse is where they say, well, we just want to show what's there. But we never just accepted what was there. We always looked at what was there and looked through it and brought our people the way it needed to be. So in slavery time, we were singing Go Down Moses and Swing Low Sweet Chariot. We wasn't singing about the cotton picking nigga in the field. That's what we saw, but that's not what we sang. In slavery, in segregation time, we were singing We Shall Overcome. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. We wasn't singing the hoe in the back of the bus. So where is this coming from? And that's what we need to challenge. I wish, you know, all of this about our friend Barack announced it today. I wish Obama had announced here, because Lincoln did not free us. The abolitionist movement freed us. Lincoln accommodated to freedom fighters. He was not a freedom fighter. Kennedy accommodated the king. Johnson accommodated the king. We got to quit giving the wrong people credit for our history.
Around this is so wicked. Now they're going to they released last night a memo that said that the FBI was investigating good. They're trying to come up with something on the victim. Not they gonna investigate who shot her. The ICE agent shooting in the head 3 times. They're gonna investigate her. And you wonder why we need movements. You wonder why we need to stand up. Hakeem Jeffries was here Monday. Why we need to deal with this midterm election. Well, Reverend, I get calls on my radio show every day. Well, I don't see where voting changed something. Well, all right. Let me tell you where, if they lose the Congress this year, where it changes. The Speaker would be Hakeem Jeffries, who grew up right here in Name, as he said on Monday. The Speaker decides then the calendar for the legislative session. The chairs of the committees become Democrats. So the Judiciary Committee, now watch this in the barbershop. The chair of the Judiciary Committee, y'all saw the Judiciary Committee have the hearing and brought in the special counsel yesterday. Well, the chair this time, if the Democrats win, would be a Democrat who could then subpoena the Attorney General Bondi, all of the folks that were involved in January 6th. They can subpoena the vice president, all of them, because you've got the power of the gavel. Wonder why nobody has asked Pence how he felt running for his life January 6th. Well, if you get the Judiciary Committee, you can subpoena Pence.
This is a defining moment. As our world faces urgent challenges, the movement comes together.
Do I seem excited? I am excited because this Saturday, the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally starts live on WBLS 107.5 FM in New York. We're going to expand. Every Saturday morning, we're live on WBLS 107.5 from 10 a.m. to 11. You'll hear the message. You'll feel the energy. You'll be involved. You won't be sitting around talking about, oh my God, look at what's happening. You'll be involved in dealing with what's happening. I'm excited, and you should be excited too. Turn on WBLS, 10 a.m. every Saturday morning. I have a message for you. And if you want to, you can come to the House of Justice and be there live. 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. We kick off at 9, and we don't stop until we deal with getting our people energized. Hey, what's up? They got, they're doing, thank you. They're doing What's on Your Mind? Yeah. All right, then, we got a birthday this week. I got to talk about that.
Oh, no.
Happy birthday this weekend. And Carrie White's birthday, right?
Corey's birthday is today.
Yeah, and I got to tell Reverend Birthday reading Daniel 5th chapter. I want him to read. And I'm ready. Got a message from today, so we'll be on the air in what? Half hour.
A half hour.
You should tune in. Real, keeping it real.
I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go to Tommy. Tommy in Chicago. Tommy, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Well, a pleasant afternoon to you, Reverend Sharpton, and most certainly to your listening audience. I would suggest right now that we try to do what you have perfected, which is the art of being still and listening and understanding and knowing your facts. Because through all your promos, you're constantly saying to individuals, I allowed you, but you won't allow me, and we can have different opinions, but the facts remain. Everything about our existence in this country is based upon illegal activity. The war that was fought was based upon the fact that the South said, to hell with the North. We're going to do whatever we want. The North turns around and uses military tactics, which is embargo. And what do? How do you make your money? What do you use? They freed the so-called slaves. And then they turned us out like you turn out any pet that you don't want anymore. And lo and behold, we didn't die, we multiplied. And here we are in 2026 with an individual, excuse me, Reverend, who is truly the spook who sat by the door, with an individual who is at the table, with an individual excelling to the highest point. In my life, I never believed a black man could ever go into any White House, much alone a pedigreed black woman who said, I didn't want to go up there in the first place, but I did what was necessary, and I protected my family, and I followed my man, and this stuff up here is no joke. So as I close, Reverend, if they're not listening to you, basically, you know what? Just to think of the civility of an individual such as yourself, who allows individuals to have comments, to talk, and you try to decipher and give clear narrative. This is a moment to understand that if we won't listen to people who are at the table, if we won't listen to the true fighters, freedom fighters, they assassinated the Black Panthers. They turned political prisoners into Angela Davis and Tupac Shakur, mother, sister, whatever. You know what I'm saying, Reverend. It's only been one person, one black person ever broke out of a prison and went somewhere else and kept telling us what was going on. How long have we listened and gone on with the same narrative over and over? You with the Koch brothers, they told you to go sit down. We don't need no Al Sharpton now. And now I'm like Chris Rock. Hell, do you know Al Sharpton? Because I sure the hell do. That's called keeping it real. I love you, Doc. And at such a time as this, it's either be still and thank you Thank you to all the black outlets that are clearly letting black people understand and recognize our problem in America has always been stinking thinking. Now run and tell that. I love you, Doc.
Love you, Tommy. I love you. Put a lot in those minutes. I listen to every word. Let me go to Yessie in Atlanta, Georgia. Yessie, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Rising General, Grand Rising General, I bounce off Tommy in respect for your diligence and respect for your true position in the situation of our people, melanated people on the continent of North America, and not only North America, the world, because you are on the world stage, and great respect and flowers to you for that aspect of what's happening.
Thank you.
And getting to what yes, sir, as I'm calling, it is an address directly to you as a general, because we have soldiers in different camps that have no unifying guidance right now. And I'd say, just for instance, the Hebrew Israelites, the smaller groups, not the whole nation of Islam, but other people that have created their groups to try to base their existence on a spiritual foundation. And I believe one of the reasons people lean towards you is the faith in your spiritual foundation. That being said, it is a time in which we have to go out and call in all of the people. It's written someplace to not forsake the assembly of God's people. And we are presently organized in certain areas, but that's an organ. Now we need to become the body of Christ. And that means one thing will be the pancreas. One thing is the set of lungs and the respiratory system. One thing is the heart. One thing is the intestinal system. And as people who have different functions, I'm talking to my beloved leadership that are still listening to this particular station. We know all of the innuendo that is put out by media, and I'm going to say it for my beloved brother Al. Brother Al Sharpton is not perfect. He is working, and he is a work in process, in progress. So please don't try to take our leadership and demean them by reason of something someone might put out an innuendo. This is not the time to be lost in the game. This is the time to be assembling ourselves together, each discipline, each philosophy of history, bringing every fact that we can muster, putting it in a timeline, and then saying, I'm glad that part's over. This is who we are today. Because yesterday is very important in determining who we are today. So leadership, this is a general with our people on this continent in this time. You can call him a double agent general if you want to, but melanation doesn't fade away. So we know that we're a people, and some of us have turned on us sometime, but we're here for all people anyway. We got our lessons to teach all people the bad things that can be if you do not recognize arrogance or tyranny or just all the bad things that we've presently been living under. Thank you for your time, General.
Thank you for your wisdom. I was taking all that in. I appreciate it. I really do. Let me go to the sage of the South, Brother Jihad. Brother Jihad, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton. I don't hear Jihad.
You sound like he's in the background.
Yeah, something is wrong with his connection. I don't hear him.
I'll let you know when I get him.
All right, please come back to me when you get him. Let me say, I think that the kind of unifying yet principled way that that Yessie was talking is where we have to go. As an activist, this is warfare about using the weapons of money and and votes, that's your weapons. But as a minister, he's right. It is spiritual warfare. These people are wicked. And you cannot expect wicked people to operate on the same values that you and I do. I think we got Jihad, brother Jihad.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
I'm
sorry,
good.
Sorry about that, Rev. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. Well, I wanted to run an observation by you.
Okay.
About you.
All right.
And it's for the future cities that ICE shows up in. If you notice, initially ICE they were like protecting federal government property. You know what I mean? When they went out to California and Portland and et cetera, they weren't necessarily in the cities, at least this group that he sent out at first, dealing with protesters, unless the protesters was near government property. So I thought about something else. I kept looking at Minnesota, and to me, the local police officers, or ICE them, they have the authority over federal property or issuing these federal warrants. When it came to protesting, the city police should have taken over controlling the protesters. But instead, the ICE people were out managing the protesters. Did you notice that?
Yeah,
you know
that is a fact. That's a fact.
In essence, really, right. So really, in the cities for the future, they have no authority to control and no experience in controlling protest, right? So actually, that authority and that experience should have came in the hand of the local police or the National Guard from the state. So for the future, if they come to Atlanta and to other cities, when the people protest ICE, it's up to the local people to handle the protest and not the ICE people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that most of the drama we had in Minnesota was because the local police, for the most part, with their good intentions and maybe their misunderstanding, relished that authority to ICE. Because when we saw the protesters, we mainly saw ICE and the protesters. So I just...
now that's a very good observation. I'm going to raise that to some of them. The members of Congress as they negotiate these 2 weeks. I like that because they should never have deferred to ICE in the first place. They are the police of the streets of the municipality. You're absolutely right. All right, thank you for your call. Let me take a break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
Dr. Richardson. Most of all, let me thank Reverend Al Sharpton for bringing us all here together today. The Urban Action Network. I am proud to be a candidate for the presidency of the United States of America. But I am mindful that I wouldn't be here if it had not been for Reverend Al Sharpton running for president, and Carol Moseley Brown running for president, and Jesse Jackson running for president, and Shirley Chisholm running for president. They paved the way, and I stand on their shoulders.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
I celebrate the day you were born. You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
For over 3 decades, the National Action Network has stood on the front lines for our communities, fighting for justice, lifting up the voiceless, and showing up where it matters most. Presidents, world leaders, and global changemakers have all testified to Reverend Al Sharpton's impact and National Action Network legacy of good trouble in the fight for equality. This holiday season, our commitment grows even stronger. We're expanding food distributions, toy drives, and direct support for families who need us now more than ever. Stop right now and join the movement.
Hi, it's Reverend Al Sharpton, President and founder of National Action Network. We are at the very end of 2025, and I want to first say that I want to thank all of the officers, chapter leaders, regional directors, national staff, and certainly National Board of National Action Network for a solid and absolutely incredible year in 2025. Despite the fact that we are under assault, voting rights, diversity, equity, and inclusion, the battles globally where we're seeing Nigeria and Venezuela attacked, and on and on and on. We have been steadfast as an activist organization in the tradition of Dr. King. We started the year with a national call that thousands responded to, and we were in Washington on our side of town while Trump was being inaugurated on the other side of town. And we made a pledge. We told people to lift their hand and make the pledge. And we kept that pledge to work all year to keep the dream alive. And that led into when Trump went after DEI. We supported some that were boycotting, and we started boycotting, something that had never happened. We said we're going to go buy from those that have committed to keep DEI, and went in several cities around Costco's and Sharpton. We've now bought stock in other companies. We're going to shareholder meeting and demand they continue DEI. We've had a sensational National Action Network convention covering the span of activity, from political empowerment to education, to how we deal with the Black church, how we deal with Black women development that has to deal with both discrimination based on gender and race. And of course, we came to Wall Street by the thousands and marched in late summer on the anniversary of the March on Washington. And people thought you could not get people out, and they came from all over the country. And we marched on Wall Street and had an enormous turnout. The only mass Black march, Black-led march this year. We had a lot of protests, a lot of marches. I salute all No Kings marches and all. But the Black organization march, it welcomed everybody. We had white, Black, everybody there. Was our march on Wall Street in August. And then our Triumph Award, and on into our fall agenda of organizing, mobilizing. We've expanded. We've started chapters in about 12 new cities. So I am proud of what we've done this year, but it's only the beginning, because our very rights are under attack, and they're not even being quiet about it. They want to revoke the Voting Rights Act. Section 2 may fall with this bill. They want to end the Civil Rights Act of 64. That's what the end of DEI is about. So let us be more alert and active than ever. History will decide whether the civil rights gains of the 50s and 60s died in the 2020s. That's on your watch and mine. So if we've got to march, we have to protest, we have to lobby, and we have to rally, whatever we need to do, we need to put our shoulder to the wheel more than ever. We'll lay out a plan on King Day, both in Harlem at our annual event and in Washington at our annual Martin Luther King Day breakfast that we do in D.C. We two cities that day. And then, of course, all roads lead to New York, April for our convention. We had, as I said, the largest attendance convention last year. In 2025, it needs to be more this year because our very existence is at stake. We also are closing our negotiations on a new headquarters, our national headquarters that befit our mission. I'm so excited about it, but I can't give you details. We're just about ready to sign the contract, but it will be something that will last longer than many of our lifetimes. So we came alive in 25, despite a hostile administration, despite the fact that a lot of people were intimidated and spooked into silence. We came alive in 25. Now we have to straighten out tricks in 26. I need you, we need each other. Let's do this. All these tricks, don't forget, Trump only won by 1.5%. He is trying to act like he has a mandate. No, he has a mission, Project 2025. We have the mandate that we can't let them undo what has been done. And we must even go further for the empowerment of all people. Happy New Year. And be focused.
Oh. Rev, you know you were right there
from the beginning
with the stuff that was going on in Brooklyn at that time, at Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, but I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. We've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene with yourself.
Yep.
Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question.
Yep.
What was your weight on that scene?
I probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair, man.
And you had the hair on.
Nah, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut, so we went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
Keeping it real.
My brother right here.
I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. Let me also say something about this notion, because, see, I'm very sensitive to people playing with religion. I believe everybody's religion ought to be respected and regarded. I firmly believe what I believe, been that way since I was a kid, been preaching since I was 4. I believe what I believe. Didn't change as I grew up. Still preaching. Be at Allen Temple. You there in New York, I'm preaching at Allen Temple AME Church in Queens Sunday. Preach a different church most Sundays. And I respect others that are of different faiths or denominations. So when you play politics, that you're going to say we're going to put prayer back into school and don't define what that means, then you're playing with religion. Because I think it was Tricia, somebody said on the message board, what are they going to let the Hebrew Israelites pray in school? Are they going to let them lead the prayer in the classroom? Are they going to let the Nation of Islam do it? Are they going to let Pentecostals do it? Are we going to be able to speak in tongues in school? I mean, what does that mean? So don't go for the okie doke. So what does that mean? And how do you monitor that? Don't forget, this is the administration that began defunding the Department of Education. So how are you even going to have regulations on that? How are you going to observe that? How is that protected against teachers using it to try and convert your child or mine to their religion? How do you do that? Well, Reverend, everybody can just have a silent moment of prayer. But if you're dealing with little kids and they ask you, well, what do I do? You're going to influence what they see as a silent moment of prayer. Silent moment of prayer, some of us get on our knees. For others of us, it's to hold our palms out. For others, it's different things. So let us not get, I guess my point is, and I'm for prayer anywhere, anytime, but my point is, let us not get hoodwinked by this administration, because that's what they're trying to do. That is absolutely what he's trying to do. And we should not be deceived. If I'm going to pray for peace on earth, well, what does that do for him kidnapping Maduro or threatening to go in with guns blazing in Nigeria? Can I pray and say that in school? 1-877-532-5797. But Trump and his crowd are the masters of just throwing out stuff and seeing how the reaction is. I like that Joanne Kemp says they need to put education back in the school. I like that. Now that answers everything. We're talking about prayer in the school. What about education? We are the most technological, we live in the most technological age in recorded history and have more confusion than we ever had. You would think having the technology to grab facts would make us wiser. It has made us weaker because we misuse it and we go for what is easy and tastes good to us, fancy. Oh, that was good. Soundbite. Let's go to Lola in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, WURD. Lola.
Yes, hi, Reverend Al. Thanks for taking my call. I think I got disconnected yesterday, so I just wanted to call back and to just talk more about what I was saying. And I think what they're trying to do is, this is a white supremacist nationalist agenda. Because if you could, like you just said, everything that you said was true. You could put church prayer back into the school, but are they going to acknowledge all the people and their different religions? Because everybody is not of the same religion. And then you have someone preaching this when they're not even abiding by that. He doesn't. You would see Obama, you would see Joe Biden going into church on Sundays with their family and having different denominations of church people coming in, pastors coming in to the Rose Garden and coming up and saying different stuff. He doesn't even have any of that. He hasn't even acknowledged Black History Month. The past presidents would have a whole agenda for the whole month, have different groups come up, gospel groups, R&B groups, whoever, none of that is happening. So he's talking about prayer, but he hasn't even united this country, and he has no, he's not even thinking about doing that. That's not on his agenda to unite this country. His agenda is to keep this country divided. And what I said yesterday about the elections, Steve Bannon is doubling down, Reverend Al, on bringing ICE to the cities. Now they're named, and President Trump named it, Philadelphia, Detroit, Baltimore, and D.C.
He said it by name. He said it by name.
Yeah, he said it by name, right. These are the predominantly Black cities. Oh, and he also said Philadelphia. I think I did say Philadelphia. Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, because Philadelphia is a part of Pennsylvania, but he's talking about the whole Pennsylvania, but specifically Philadelphia.
Yeah, he named
so he's
both.
Talking about he named both, Reverend Al. So he's talking about these swing states, but predominantly Black, that vote Democrat. So now he's trying, like I said yesterday, bring in this ICE agents to scare U.S. citizens and legal immigrants who usually predominantly vote Democrat. So we have to be proactive instead of being reactive. We have to start now. And that means with the ACLU, if you can donate to them, donate. If that means to getting out in one of your committees and going with some of the different branches in your cities, because we're going to need all of their help when it comes up. in May, because they're going to try to enforce. This is what this is all about, Reverend Al, getting people, even though they're afraid and they're fighting back, but trying to normalize ICE and all of these federal agents being on the ground. So when it comes up with the election, oh, so there's ICE. Oh, that's normal. Though that's not normal to have ICE intimidating you while you can vote. Our God-given right that our ancestors fought and died for. And so we have to get out there. We have to be strong. But like you said earlier, we have to stand steadfast. And like I said yesterday, I just keep thinking about my ancestors. If they gave up any of the fight that they were fighting for, we wouldn't be where we were. So we don't have the right to give up with all the stuff that we have been afforded, the freedom. Even though we don't have all the freedom and we still have racism, we can't even think about what our relatives and our ancestors went through. So every day I wake up, I pray to them and I thank them, because I wouldn't even have all the things that we have. People traveling, you can go to Florida, you can go to Disneyland, you can go overseas, you can do all this stuff. But think about this, if we were enslaved and in bondage, we wouldn't be able to go anywhere. So you need to think about getting yourself together for the midterms, making sure your documentation is okay. You have your passport or your non-driver's license or your driver's license, your identification, because we're not going to be frightened off by them. I'm going to be walking steadfast. You know, Reverend Al, I'm telling you, when I look at John Lewis and them walking over at the bridge, that bridge. That's how we need to go arm in arm in May and November, walking together, arm in arm, up into these polls.
I love it. That's exactly right. I love it. Thank you for your call back, Lola. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back. It is really a intersection of both emotions, because when I was 11 or 12 years old, so I watched the news a lot, and I became enthralled with the image of Adam Clayton Powell. I was around 11, and I convinced my mother to let me come up to this church to see Adam Clayton Powell. And in those days, people in Brooklyn used to say it's dangerous to go to Harlem. And folk in Harlem used to say it's dangerous to go to Brooklyn. Now, to 135th Street, and I sat right back there, and Adam Clayton Powell walked down this platform. And I remember after the church, in those days, Johnson, the pastor's study was right inside with the plexiglass, and I knocked on the door and I told the secretary I wanted to meet Reverend Powell. She looked down this little 11-year-old boy. She said, "Really?" She said, "Who did I say?" I said, "Reverend Al Sharpton."
Platform means dignity. Means we're gonna walk side by side with you or through you. We're gonna be with dignity and integrity. We don't want any more than you have, and we're not gonna accept any less than you have. That's my thought.
Good morning, everybody. Governor Westmore. And as a former honoree of the National Action Network's Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Breakfast, I want to begin by recognizing the leadership of this great organization. My guy, Reverend Sharpton, you're one of a kind. You've dedicated your life to safeguarding and advancing Dr. King's legacy, and I couldn't be more grateful for the way that you have blessed the lives of so many, including mine. I also want to thank Ebony Riley and her team, and Andrea Waters King and the entire King family. Your work continues to shape national conversations about equity and justice, and you inspire so many to pursue their own path in public service. And finally, I am thrilled to congratulate today's Visionary Award recipient, my guy, Mayor Brandon Scott. Mr. Mayor, you deserve this honor. Your leadership is turning your vision for Baltimore into a Baltimore where we can all thrive, helping to drive down historic lows in crime. A Baltimore that has one of the fastest growing economies in the country. You've been an incredible partner in this work, my man. A strong leader for the city, and most importantly, a devoted friend and father. So congratulations, Brandon. And thank you to everyone here who is working to strengthen our communities, to broaden opportunities, and most importantly, to serve the people.
Welcome back, everybody. My next guest is a TV and radio personality. He's an activist and the author of a new book, The Rejected Stone, Al Sharpton and the Path to American Leadership. Please welcome my friend, Reverend Al Sharpton. Ram, how you doing?
Good.
Look at you. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are
Boy,
you?
you getting sharper and sharper.
No, I'm trying to be like you.
Man, I'm trying to get my weight together, man. You look good. How much weight have you lost?
All told, about 120 pounds.
That's been great, man. I'm gonna get into this book, but I gotta tell you, man, I really do appreciate your stand for the small man. I think it's the common man that has really connected with you over the years, and the common cause, I think, has been very, very effective.
Well, thank you. That's what my ministry is all about.
Yeah.
You have to know in life what your passion is, what gets you up in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my passion. And I once you lose it, you should get out of it and do something else.
Right. Now, it's been 10 years since your last book. Why is this one really important to you at this point?
You know, people stop me all over wherever I'm traveling and say to me, you've changed so much. You've gone radio now, TV every day. Your National Action Network has gotten formidable. You go to the White House, and you lost a lot of weight. How did you transform yourself? I want to go to the next level in my life. And I thought about it. I said, rather than just talk politics, I wanted to write a book about how anybody, any race, any religion, can transform themselves and go to the next step in life and not be afraid to do it, because you can do it.
Right.
And I'm a billboard of that.
Right, exactly. Just like me, Reverend Al Sharpton has some principles that he lives by, characteristics of being a leader. So what's the first principle that you say makes a person a leader?
You have to first decide where you're going. You know, most people never arrive because they don't have a destination. If you go to the airport, first thing you have to decide is where you're going. You can't even price the ticket, get through security nowhere if you're not going anywhere.
Right.
And we hang out in the airports of life. That's the first thing you have to do. Second, you can't be afraid to think big and be big. We all are born a certain race, certain, economic class. We put in categories. You got to think bigger than that. And lastly, be consistent and disciplined. And I think that discipline is something that a lot of people cannot apply, which robs them of their greatness. So in the book, I talk about how I learned. I give anecdotes. You know, I was very close with James Brown, the singer. He was like a father of mine. Right. Michael Jackson. I talk about my relationship with the president. And I talk about how I learned these things and different things from different people, right, because nobody gets big by accident. You have to do it by having a diligent plan.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, it's that thinking big part that stops a lot of people, because they see themselves in their environment only. You know, my mother, when I was small, used to bring home travel magazines. Mm-hmm. And my father didn't understand, why you buying all these travel magazines? We ain't got no money to go to these places. She said, it's for Steve now, the kids, because I want them to see other places, because one day they will be able to go. And I saw Aruba. I was snorkeling in the Barrier Reef at 9. No money to get there, but it was them making me see it.
You know, the rejected stone comes from the Bible. The rejected stone to be the cornerstone. We've all been rejects, whether in our homes, whether in our jobs, whether in our life. And what I've learned is you can be the biggest reject in the world. Media used to demonize me. But if you learn to embrace and accept yourself, then soon...
Keep it real, keep it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797.
And of course, we're going right back to the phones, and let's go to Renee in Michigan. Renee, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Hello, Reverend L. Happy Black History Month to you.
Same to you.
I want to talk about two things about what Trump's doing. About these elections, trying to make them national. WJBK Channel 2 Detroit. I got like about almost in the middle of the conversation, but I think it was a lawyer and one of the Congress people talking about he cannot make elections national because they're unconstitutional. So I don't know. They said if he even tried, they said that he said he has to get practically the whole Congress to do it. So that's what I heard on the news last night. So I'll read it some more and call you maybe next month to see when I find out a little bit more. But this is what the part I heard last night when they were talking. I was sitting there watching it. And then the other thing is, black people, we better watch out because he's got a pattern. You know how they did the Jews in Germany? You know, they start going in their museums and stealing their paintings and their artwork and everything they had, what they made, firing the professors from the university. That's what he's doing to us now. He's doing us soft now. He's really after the Latinos now because he don't want them in the country or whatever. But he's doing us like the Jews in Germany. He's like he want to be a Hitler wannabe. So he's going to come. Eventually, he's going to get to us because that Philadelphia taking out slavery, George Washington didn't have any slaves. And I saw that when I was in the 7th grade in my history book, the same picture. You know, George Washington had slaves. That's what they did back then. You know, that's part of history. You can't erase something that actually happened. You know, that's like saying your birthday didn't happen. Basically, that's history. So I'll just say, just watch Trump. I don't think himself, you know, because he's 83 years old and with health issues, but he's making it for, like, it's all going to be Republican in the United States of America, and we can't let nobody but Republican or J.D. Vance, and then he passed it on to maybe the guy that's the Speaker of the House, or I don't know how the pattern works, but that's what I see, what he's trying to do, which is not fair. So basically, the main thing is, whatever this lawyer say, I believe the lawyer say he's going to try to do it, but it's going to be like in all these different states are going to file a lawsuit because really elections are up to the state and their Secretary of State or the Director of Elections. So that's my opinion. But I'm really angered about Trump. He's probably going to get the African Museum in D.C. next. So, because that's federal.
Yeah.
They just opened that in 2017.
Yeah, no, he's going to try to get it all, and that's why we got to fight back, Renee. Thank you for your call. Let me go to David.
Okay, thank you.
Let me go to David in San Francisco. David?
Oh, yeah. Hi, yeah, I don't know if you've been paying attention. You know, Trump did a Doge cut of the National Weather Service. And so America and the world, for that matter, are not going to be as prepared as we should be for climate change. And, of course, you know, Project 2025 are the big polluters, and they don't want to get caught. They don't want to clean up their messes. And so they don't want any proof that they caused the messes. And so getting rid of the EPA, getting rid of the Department of Justice, environmental lawsuits, the cleanup demands. If they can ruin those cases, they can set their big polluters free and let them keep their money. And so one of the big problems that started showing up just a few days ago is the polar vortex. And have you noticed that yet, the news articles about it?
Yeah, I've seen some articles, yeah.
Yeah, if you do a kind of a basic search of it, and then you look at the images, they kind of give you an idea of what the polar vortex is. But if you think about it, there's been a massive, you might think of it as a big whirlpool or a big tornado on top of the North Pole. And it's been spinning for thousands and thousands of years, maybe millions of years. And but the average temperature of the entire Earth is getting so warm that the polar vortexes are starting to collapse. And so what happened about a week or so ago is that great big, let's say, puddles of that frozen air have collapsed down onto the Canada and the northern U.S., and now they've gotten all the way down to Florida and Texas. And so it's not going to be on a regular basis like that. If the polar vortexes collapse in a really constant way, weather changes are going to be even more enormous, and it's not going to be pretty because that cold air keeps the North Pole frozen, and if all of that ice up there starts to melt, then the oceans are going to rise 20 or 30 feet. So anybody living, below the 30-foot level along the coastlines of not just America, but the whole world, they're going to be flooded out. And of course, I think they say about 90% of the world lives closer to the oceans. And 30 feet can be an enormous amount of ocean rise. And currently it's only rising maybe a quarter inch a year. But it's if this happens, and like this polar vortex collapsing, the rise is going to all of a sudden be a big slosh, and tidal waves kind of stuff, and it won't be just 30.
Now, what are the timetables they're putting on this?
Well, with the National Weather Bureau being ripped apart by DOGE almost a year ago now. All of those scientists have been fired, and some of the best research is coming out of Europe now, but they don't have, the same data as we have in the United States. They deal regionally as opposed to globally, and but there are varying reports that are coming out, but none of them are being sponsored by what we would think of as unbiased. The National Weather Bureau, they're supposed to be unbiased, right? Just let everybody in Tennessee know, let everybody in Texas know, let everybody in California know. And they don't play games with politics. They just look at the science. And but these guys, like I was saying, Project 2025, they're the polluters. And they don't want to have to pay for the cleanup. They don't want to pay for the aftermaths of tidal waves. And I was just listening to a Tennessee station, and they don't know whether or not they should be buying snow plows for the future. They've never had to have snow plows, and all of a sudden they do. Can they do emergency spending, or are they going to have to deal with ongoing spending? And one of the things that I was mentioning, most people live by the oceans. If you imagine how much pollution, say there are warehouses within, 100 feet of the shoreline in almost every section of the country or the world, and those warehouses may have toxic wastes in them. They have chemicals in them. They may have all sorts of things. Well, if all of a sudden the oceans rise, then they could poison the fishing grounds for the whole coastline within a matter of hours. And, it could take hundreds of years for the fish to get back to normal if we don't start taking things apart and bringing it uphill.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's a lot of planning that should have been started decades ago, but Project 2025 is older than Donald Trump. Those guys are, the big polluters have been fighting the EPA.
And the big polluters, and the reason I wanted you to expound upon it, the big polluters are doing this for profit. I mean, even against the interests of the health of their own families, they're making profit.
Yeah, they get paid to poison, and we don't get paid to clean it up. And what's sad about it, you've probably seen this in the evangelical world, where they just kind of claim, well, Jesus will be here with the angels and they'll clean it up. Well, good luck with that. You know, that's kind of a tough duty to be an angel and have to clean up Project 2025's mess.
Not as,
So,
nor is that your job.
yeah, yeah, it's so pitiful. But yeah, I kind of finish up. You know, almost every climate scientist says that the smartest thing humans could do is plant trees, and of course Trump doesn't have any budget for that. So, you know, all across America, anybody listening, you know, send your kids out. You know, spring is coming. Go out there and gather seeds. And, you know, when it comes a few weeks from now, get out there and start scattering those seeds where there aren't trees. And, you know, whether it's honeysuckle or not honeysuckle, what a maple squirts or, you know, acorns or whatever kind of trees are in your region. Get out there and start spreading those seeds around on the empty lots, and especially, you know, there's a fellow named Harlan Crow. He's the guy that's buying Clarence Thomas.
Right.
And there's another guy named Donald Trump, and they both own land all across America. And I'm recommending that people find out where that land is and plant those trees on that land. Make those guys you know, make those guys have to pay for coverage of what's being done. They've caused these problems. They've given reasons why the polluters have to escape responsibility for poisoning the planet, and you know, get something done. Here we got springtime. People get out there and bike and hike and.
No, I agree. Environment is absolutely imperative. Thank you for your call. I have to take my break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back. As we look today on King Day, let us not forget that we had to struggle to even have this day. They did not wake up one morning and say, let's give a federal holiday to Martin Luther King. People petitioned. People marched. Mrs. Coretta Scott King, who never has gotten the credit she deserves in being the force behind this movement. Congressman John Conyers, Stevie Wonder, and others. And Ronald Reagan, who had called Martin Luther King a communist, ended up being the president that had to sign the bill for Martin Luther King's federal holiday. The reason why we know struggle works is this holiday is a result of struggle, signed by a president that never thought it would be. Let us remember now, as we bring our children and grandchildren up the Potomac, that they can see the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, and one memorial that never served as president, but changed this country more than any other American, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. But we gather this morning because everything Dr. King stood for is at risk. As we speak, we're waiting to see what the Supreme Court will do with Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, one of the major achievements of the King movement. As we speak this morning, this sitting president has declared war on DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is the core of the Civil Rights Act of '64. We are under attack, and we should not be taking this as a day off. This is a day on to fight to keep what was maintained. To see, I remember 6 years ago, Martin III and I were in Minneapolis leading the marches around George Floyd. I did the eulogy at his funeral. 6 years later, we see a white female, unarmed,
killed in Minneapolis. We see people being racially profiled. We see that there are those that would want this to be the last federal holiday named after King. Don't you be deceived. This sitting president and his cohorts would want to end Martin Luther King Day. But just like we will not let them end this day, we will not let them end voting rights and Civil Rights Act and DEI. It's not enough to remember and honor the dreamer and let them kill the dream. And that's why National Action Network has every year started in Washington, D.C. with this breakfast, and then we go to New York with our public policy forum. And every year we try to set an agenda and go into April. We always have our national convention in April, which is the month Dr. King was killed, to say that they killed the dreamer, not the dream, and those of us that come out of that movement is going to continue to fight. This April will be our National Action Network is 35 years old in this April at our convention. One of the things, though, we've been most proud of is to try to keep the assignment that we were given. As I said, Mrs. Coretta Scott King never got the credit she was due. She's the matriarch of this movement. You must know that Dr. King was in Boston, had graduated Morehouse College, 19 years old, went to Boston University, an Ivy League school at a time many blacks couldn't get in there. Met a young lady who was in conservatory, going to be an opera singer from Marion, Alabama, Coretta Scott King. They decided to go back south. A lot of blacks that went north and had their upper movement never wanted to go back south. But for whatever reason, Dr. King wanted to go back south. And Mrs. King stood right with him and went to Alabama and ran into history. It is always those that accept the calling that change history. And we should never forget the sacrifice made of Dr. Martin and Mrs. Coretta Scott King, because they did not have to go and lead a boycott. They were Boston University Conservatory graduates. They chose to fight. And when it fell their lot, they kept fighting. And even after Dr. King was assassinated, she kept the movement going. Martin III bonded me and his mother, and she used to reprimand me. Al, you got to be careful with your language. Al, I know you up north, but do this, that, and other. She got on me about being not only in the tradition in your actions, because we always was there, but even in your rhetoric. And it was because of that that it meant so much for the last 30 years. Martin and I have walked step by step together because we had that bond, and I felt that Mrs. King gave us that. He has kept this dream alive all over the world. He has worked with the offsprings of Mahatma Gandhi to keep this tradition going. But I thought I knew a lot about how God operates because I've been preaching since I was a little boy. So I thought I'd never see another person in the spirit of Coretta Scott King. But Andrea Waters King walks and talks and operates in the spirit of Mrs. Because sometimes I turn around and think Mrs. King is back. She is more adamant. When Martin and I are saying, well, I don't know about this, she gets us on the Zoom and zooms us up. Say, no, y'all got to do this and this way. So I want to bring, before we start the awards, to the stage the heirs of Dr. Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King, Andrea Waters King and Martin Luther King III.
I thank God I was blessed to have both in my life. both historic, strong figures. But if I misuse them and listen to not only figures that are not as historic as them, but figures that had nothing to do with the calling and purpose of my life, I would live confused. I'd be double-minded. I'm clear. And what I want you to do is be clear. Clear on who you are, why you are. And a lot of that will be exposed to you and others by who you are around and who you allow to enter your head. Keep people at a distance that only have a distant and unclear vision of who you are and who you are supposed to be. They could be your blood relatives, but they could not be the ones that accompany you toward what you ought to be about tonight. Everybody good to you ain't good for you. Everybody that makes you laugh sometimes end up making you a joke.
No justice! No justice! No justice! What do we want? What do we want?
We are the sons and the daughters. We gotta stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go, go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom. Let my people go, go. We never shine, never shade. Give me a papa glory, make the heavens. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. The blood, sweat, and the tears that we gathered through the years. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go.
Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Let's go right back to the phones. Let's go to Renee in Michigan. Renee.
We just lost Renee. We just lost her.
I'm sorry, we lost Renee. Let me go to Ron in Hamilton Fields, California. Ron.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I had a somewhat listening to all this concentration camp prisoners or detainment facilities that do not provide the services which such a contract would call for, the maintenance and health and supervision of those people who are incarcerated. Now, these are government contracts. Can those contracts be recalled and the money recalled and the groups denied future contracts who are not performing the service of the contract to maintain those people who are put in the concentration camps?
Yeah, I think that should be. That's clearly something. I think that you raise a critical point, and I think that we definitely ought to raise that with our legislators to do it exactly the way you're saying, because they are concentration camps and they are camouflage or something else, and these people are being used and abused unjustifiably and ought to be not only released but compensated. I agree with you.
Well, you know, when you see these news reports, you see these people victimized in the process of capturing them, as it were, to put them in these camps. There's abuse there. There's a lack of proper medical and sanitary facilities, as well as people not receiving medical attention on obvious positions of need. This whole thing that can't be designed in the contract that way. The contract for these facilities have to be the maintenance of them as any prison be that is government controlled, even though you may not have the best in many cases across the country. I'm in California. There's a lot of supervision here, you know, and people can complain, but this is not about complaining. This is about not performing the service. And Congress should be able to go in and say, hey, wait a minute, that's our money. That's the money spent by the people. And we need to stop the service, get new people in there, get a real service going on, and put these people out who are not performing properly these contracts. That's all within the government's area of being able to accomplish this. Reverend, I think that's the beginning of looking at all the contracts.
I think that you're right. It occurs to me, and I'm going to take this up at our convention, that we need to have a whole group of scholars, students, interns that study, that we charge at the convention to study and come back and report every 90 days on the airwaves and social media of what these contracts say. Because we should not be trusting the government to expose contracts to the whole heads of government's friends that, one, they're not living up to the contracts as far as we could tell, but let's look at them. And two, they're not requiring them all that they should require them. Like David had called from San Francisco talking about the environment and all. We're not monitoring what they're doing that causes the very air we breathe, the food we eat, and the municipalities we live in. You raise an excellent point, Ron.
Well, sir, it is universal in the whole system, but the prisoners are right out front every day with these policing in the cities, unwarranted, not given the sanction by the courts. This is a reality. America is being used in its finance, and its people are being abused by simply paying a tax that they're not getting representation from. And we've got this right here. Those contracts can be looked at. You're 100% right. Whatever you can do, that would be a service for the people because it opens up the channel to all contracts. And I don't care what their technology or whatever they are, they're all the same. If it's the corruption style is no different than in Paris before their revolution, and we're right at home.
Absolutely. Thank you for your call. Very good call. I think that
Thank you.
Very informative, and that's the kind of content we need. And I think that it is extremely important. And I think that we sometimes to get caught up more in the emotions and the rhetoric that inspires the emotions than the content, so we can break down to people exactly what is going on, so they're not saying, oh, that I'm dismissing that. When you talk about these little concentration camps, when you talk about the fact that they are robbing people of this basic dignity, when you talk about they are allowing and certifying with federal certification foods that they know is detrimental to people's health. I mean, we need to break this down and really be clear that this is not rhetoric. This is about something real. I think that is absolutely right.
Jennifer Jones.
Let me bring on now our co-host every Thursday. She was a little tied up in some important business, but she's with us now. She's the CEO of the Protestant Welfare Agencies in New York and the vice chairman of the National Board of National Action Network, Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin. How you doing, Jen?
I'm doing all right, sir. Good to be with you and good to be with everybody who's listening, all those people out there listening to you every day. Good to be with them.
I was talking before you came on in the prayer breakfast this morning in Washington. President Trump said they want to bring prayer back into school. And I said that, I'm a minister, I believe in prayer. But that is to really try and not deal with the policy implications of that. When you're on this policy day, what do you mean by bring prayer back into school? What kind of prayer is going to be allowed? Are Muslims going to be allowed to pray? Are people of other different faiths going to be allowed to pray? Who's going to lead the prayer? I mean, and why just throw something out there with none of that? And this is the president that has began to destabilize the Department of Education. So who's going to monitor and run this?
Absolutely. That's just another one of those, gimmicks or tactics, ploys on his part, pandering to, the people who've gotten behind him, white national evangelicals. It's just trying to make them feel good that he's doing something for their benefit. I mean, let's just pause and say, how are you in one sentence, espousing a view about the importance of prayer in schools, and at the same time ripping kids out of schools and separating them from their parents for ICE and other related activities? It doesn't wash, right? You can't treat people inhumanely and then you say, well, let's just go in and reestablish prayer for the schools.
They have ICE agents at the schools. They have ICE agents at the schools.
Yeah, so it's what Trump does best, creating distractions and trying to make his base feel that he's carrying out their desires, and he is to a certain extent, but at the same time he's playing to the evils. Now, on the legality of it, one of the issues and one of the challenges is that what he would likely be doing is trying to promote Christian nationalism,
right?
And that would threaten the rights of children of other faiths or families of other faiths. And again, to your point, given that he's not talking about any particular guidelines, I don't know what's going to happen here.
And I don't think he intends
it's just
to.
Trump being Trump.
And I think that he is just trying to play, as you, I think, accurately say, to just flirt something with his base. Let's take a break. Be right back. Policy Day, Sharpton, Jones, Austin. Be right back.
Welcome back, everybody. My next guest is a TV and radio personality. He's an activist and the author of a new book, The Rejected Stone, Al Sharpton and the Path to American Leadership. Please welcome my friend, Reverend Al Sharpton. Ram, how you doing?
Good.
Look at you. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Boy, you getting sharper and sharper.
No, I'll try to be like you.
Man, I'm trying to get my weight together, man. You look good. How much weight have you lost?
All told, about 120 pounds.
That's been great, man. I'm gonna get into this book, but I gotta tell you, man, I really do appreciate your stand for the small man. I think it's the common man that has really connected with you over the years, and the common cause, I think, has been very, very effective.
Well, thank you. That's what my ministry is all about.
Yeah.
You have to know in life what your passion is, what gets you up in the morning. Mm-hmm. And that's my passion. And I once you lose it, you should get out of it and do something else.
Right. Now, it's been 10 years since your last book. Why is this one really important to you at this point?
People stop me all over wherever I'm traveling and say to me, you've changed so much. You've gone radio now, TV every day. Your National Action Network has gotten formidable. You go to the White House, and you lost a lot of weight. How did you transform yourself? I want to go to the next level in my life. And I thought about it. I said, rather than just talk politics, I wanted to write a book about how anybody, any race, any religion, can transform themselves and go to the next step in life and not be afraid to do it, because you can do it. Right. And I'm a billboard of that.
Right, exactly. Just like me, Reverend Al Sharpton has some principles that he lives by, characteristics of being a leader. So what's the first principle that you say makes a person a leader?
You have to first decide where you're going. Most people never arrive because they don't have a destination. If you go to the airport, first thing you have to decide is where you're going. You can't even price the ticket, get through security nowhere if you're not going anywhere.
Right.
And we hang out in the airports of life. That's the first thing you have to do. Second, you can't be afraid to think big and be big. We all are born a certain race, certain, economic class. We put in categories. You got to think bigger than that. And lastly, be consistent and disciplined. And I think that discipline is something that a lot of people cannot apply, which robs them of their greatness. So in the book, I talk about how I learned. I give anecdotes. You know, I was very close with James Brown, the singer. He was like a father of mine. Michael Jackson. I talk about my relationship with the president. And I talk about how I learned these things and different things from different people because nobody gets big by accident. You have to do it by having a diligent plan.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, it's that thinking big part that stops a lot of people because they see themselves in their environment only. You know, my mother, when I was small, used to bring home travel magazines.
Mm-hmm.
And my father didn't understand, why you buying all these travel magazines? We ain't got no money to go to these places. She said, it's for Steve now, the kids, because I want them to see other places, because one day they will be able to go. And I saw Aruba. I was snorkeling in the Barrier Reef at 9. No money to get there, but it was them making me see it.
You know, the rejected stone comes from the Bible. The rejected stone to be the cornerstone. We've all been rejects, whether in our homes, whether in our jobs, whether in our life. And what I've learned is you can be the biggest reject in the world. Media used to demonize me. But if you learn to embrace and accept yourself, then soon the world will have to join your embrace. So I found I couldn't be somebody else. So I fell in love with Al Sharpton. I've been the president, chairman of the board, secretary, and only member of the Al Sharpton fan club. But we made it.
Well, I'll tell you what, you got another fan in me, my friend, because you have taught me so many things, and you have come to my aid in some really dark moments. I thank you for your friendship.
Thank you.
And listen to me, folks. For more about his principles on leadership, all you got to do is pick up his new book. It's called The Rejected Stone. I think there's some information in there for anybody that's trying to make it, okay? Make sure you pick up a copy. We'll be right back. Reverend Al Sharpton, everybody.
Hello, New Orleans. Let me tell you straight. They did not think we could come and be here tonight. They cut budgets and advertising, but one black man, Rich Newton, said, I don't care. My families come together every 4th of July weekend, and essence will happen, because that's who we are. Give a big hand to Rich New Dennis for bringing us back. Why do we come? Because the essence of who we are is essential to what made this nation. We built this nation. We made this nation. We created the essential dollars that this nation lives off of. We don't care what bill they pass. We will not back up. We will not back down. We will not give in. We will not be chased out. We don't care who's in the White House. Stand up, black man. Stand up, black woman. Reclaim your dignity. Reclaim your place. So we stand with the Black Economic Forum. We stand with Essence Magazine because that's who we are. So don't give in now. Yes, it's some rough days, but we've been through rougher days than this. Yes, Trump is a bad dude, but we beat badder dudes than Trump. So let's party with a purpose, because our rhythm and our music reminds us who we are, because we can smile through our pain and organize for our gain. Let's stand up and let's celebrate who we are. Thank you, God bless you.
Reverend Al Sharpton, keeping it real. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is our co-host. All right, it's Policy Day, Jen. Let's go to Todd in Cleveland, Ohio. Todd, you're keeping it real with Sharpton and Jones Austin.
Hey, Reverend Al Sharpton, Jennifer Jones Austin. So we talked briefly last week about Executive Order 14376, which was signed in January 20th of this last month. And what it is it's a restriction on large purchases by large corporations of private residences, so that the more common man and woman can purchase these residences at a reasonable rate and not having to have to compete with multi-million-dollar corporations. On the surface, Executive Order 14376 looks reasonably a good idea to me. And there was something I wanted to combine with it I mentioned last week, which is these investment accounts that he's calling the Trump accounts that are guaranteeing $1,000 for every child born in this country between the years 2025 through the end of year 2028, which amounts to, if the median holds up, which amounts to about 14,400,000 kids in that time period that will receive that money. Where are you at with these two pursuits that the president claims he's invested in? Well, one's set up. Nobody's gotten their money, the $1,000 for the kids born in 2025. Nobody's got their money that I'm aware of, but that's set up to move forward. Where are you two at with the idea of corporations not being able to buy as many homes so that everyday people could get in the competition?
Jenny?
You want me to begin, sir? Okay.
Yeah.
On that issue, the reason that was put in place is that, we've seen some of this, or quite a bit of it here in New York City, where you have corporate entities who are able to come in with, as you said, Todd, with significant sums of money, purchase single-family homes, and then outprice other people, and in so doing, jack up the cost of home ownership, and then keeping people out of the game of building wealth. And so, what it's done is it's intended to prioritize the man, the woman, the individual family that does not have the same amount of money to, compete. And it's supposed to address affordability issues. Now, one of the questions that I have is what is the enforcement of it? Where would it play out? And also, I just add that this is not the only issue that is keeping low-income people from being able to obtain homes to purchase homes. So I'm not going to say off the bat that it's a bad thing, but I think it's not the only thing that's going to actually bring about more single-family home ownership for low and middle-income people.
I think also I would add to that that where I saw it tried in New York, and I think there was a pilot project doing it in either Chicago or Houston. I'm trying to remember. It was not tight enough to where you were really avoiding corporations buying a lot of the homes because they would do them under names of different corporations. There was not enough monitoring and due diligence on who these companies were, because in some states it's easy to have 10 different dummy corporations and do the same thing. So I think the purity of the idea is flawed, as well as the issues that Jenny raised.
It doesn't address what qualifies as a big corporation. There has to be a standard.
That's why
minimal.
you can have more than one.
Right. There has to be a standard minimal of what is a big corporation, and there has to be something that addresses the networks that they work within, which is actually what you're describing. There's also not really built in a method to keep prices down, because I don't believe that the president wants home prices to get lower. He wants them to get higher.
I agree.
And his claim is that he wants them to get higher because that increases the value for the individual owner. And the only thing that benefits is if you're going to sell it or if you're going to borrow on it. So I'm inclined to believe that its base in general is a good idea, but there has to be something that says this is the minimal standard what qualifies as a big corporation, and then they have to have something built in as well that says that what is your intent and at what price to buy this mass number of homes, and there may be some restrictions that need to be on that too. If, say, the minimum standard for size of a corporation is a corporation that owns 100 homes, and okay, well, you can own 100 homes, but you can't own 100 in one neighborhood. And if you own 20 in one neighborhood, you have to be able to show what are you trying to do to the market by virtue of you owning those 20 homes in that neighborhood. Is it your intention to make these homes that are right now $500 a month rentals that may not exist in New York City, but and then you want them to become $3,000 a month rentals? Those kinds of things.
Yeah, but the other part of that is, I think you raised a solid issue. I think that some of our local elected officials ought to be pressed by the public, and maybe we ought to make this as part of what we come out of our housing workshop, since we got some of the big guns in that, Jenny, at Nan's convention, is that why don't we say that when people are running for city council, or whatever the alderman, whatever the title might be, that they have a program for how much home ownership are they encouraging. Why? Because then they would have a way that they are going for it, everything from how they're going to deal with financial institutions and mortgages, all the way to not being exploited by just big businesses, all the way that it creates a tax base in their community. I think we need to start setting benchmarks like that, because that's how we ended up being gentrified a lot of places. People just was able to come in. There was no barriers to them. There was no goals that would bar them, and they could just start exploiting the community because there was no plan they were violating.
Well, I still hold there is such a thing as healthy gentrification, but what you were describing correctly is not healthy gentrification. That is problematic. They need to be able to regulate these people from being able to gain profit from networks of corporations that own these properties. So it's not just enough that, okay, you can open multiple corporations. You can't own multiple corporations if you reach this cap inside
Right.
those multiple corporations or homes that are purchased. That has to be in place. Then the $1,000 for every kid born in this country that hasn't been allocated yet. My issue with that is there can't be any static given to kids that are born of immigrant parents. If they're here, they should be eligible for that $1,000. There should be no static at all. Are you with me on this one too?
I am. I mean, the president isn't. The president's right. President's saying that you got to be a citizen.
You are a citizen if you were born here.
No, but I'm, of course you are, but I'm just saying when we're still in the courts still fighting over what is birthright citizenship, for as long as citizenship holds up and the Supreme Court doesn't flip it, then we have we may be okay. But if you have a situation where they flip it, if you are a child born of an immigrant who has not been legalized, we may have a problem. The other thing that I'm going to tell you, I do have an issue with this baby bond, the way that Trump has set it up. And now what some people may not know is that it is actually a plan. It's something that he has essentially co-opted. There is a black economist by the name of Derek Hamilton. He's based here in New York City at the New School for Social Research, and he runs their Race Equity Center. And Derek Hamilton established what is called baby bonds, the Baby Bonds Initiative. He conceived the idea. He took it to the city of New York. It's now in place here in the city of New York. The New York State Legislature is now considering it. And Derek Hamilton's Baby Bonds Initiative is to provide $1,000, similar to what Trump has done, but it is for people up to a certain income level. Trump is not putting an income level, to my understanding, on this $1,000.
Yeah.
Derek Hamilton said you got to do it. You do it, and this is a way to build wealth among children whose families have low income. You give $1,000 to every child. Why are we giving $1,000 to Jeff Bezos' children or grandchildren?
Right. I agree.
You don't need it.
I got to take my break. Thank you for your call, Todd. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton, Jones, Austin. Be right back.
Rev, you were right there
from the beginning
with the stuff that was going on in Brooklyn at that time at Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, and I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. We've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene with yourself, Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question. What was your weight on that scene?
I probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair, man.
Yeah, you had the hair on.
Now, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut. We went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK.
But the fact of the matter is, Rosa Parks was not only the mother of the modern civil rights movement, she was the mother of this nation. Why would you say that, Sharpton? Because you called George Washington the father of the nation, but when he became father, we wasn't included in the nation. Women were not included in the nation. The first time we had a parent in this nation is when all of us was included, and Rosa Parks did that on December 1st, 1955. I heard somebody say Jim Crow is who she fought, and Jim Crow is still around. But Jim Crow is old. That's not who I'm mindful of today. The problem is Jim Crow has sons. One we got to battle is James Crow Jr. Esquire. He's a little more educated. He's a little slicker. He's a little more polished. But the results are the same. He doesn't put you in the back of the bus. He just puts referendums on the ballot to end affirmative action when you can't go to school. He doesn't call you erase your name. He just marginalizes your existence. He doesn't tell you that he's set against you. He sets up institutional racism, where you have a nation respond looking for weapons in Iraq that are not there, but can't see a hurricane in Louisiana that is there. James Crow Jr. Esquire. That's who we got to fight. And if we are to win, if we are to really memorialize Rosa Parks, she would tell us to do in the generation of his son what she and Dr. King did to his daddy. They didn't talk a fight, they fought the fight. They didn't show up at funerals, they showed up on the picket line and the march line and the jailhouse. It amazes me that we sit here acting like we don't have work to do. And that many of us in our own community are mocking her memory. They formed a movement when they had none of what we got. You realize that Dr. King and Dr. Abernathy and them formed a boycott after Rosa Parks, where people stayed off the bus for a year, went to rallies every night, and they never had email, never had a cell phone, never could go online. Here you got 2 cell phones in your pocket, emails, computers at the house, and can't even get a block association meeting together. We got so much more that they gave us, and we're doing so much less with it. They went to vote when people were threatening their lives. Medgar Evers was shot dead in his driveway, left 3 children inside that never knew how it was to have a father in their adult years, died to give us the right to vote. Pregnant women marched through the streets of Birmingham. They sick police dogs on them to give us the right to vote. 4 little girls bombed in a church in Birmingham, Alabama to give us the right to vote. And here you are 40 years later in Detroit, Michigan. No dogs biting you, no bombs going off, no bullets, too lazy and ungrateful. Making mockery of her memory. Making mockery of her memory. Nobody should have to beg you to vote. Nobody should have to beg you to stand up and protect the rights that they died and suffered to give us. You can't take care of one thing on the ballot in Michigan when they had to change the laws of all 50 states. You complaining about one referendum when they did a whole revolution and never fired one shot. And then you turn it around on each other. Why do I want my daughters to visit that stone? Because I want them to know black women are not hoes. You have music companies selling misogynist records to our children. Black womanhood was Rosa Parks sitting in dignity. She wasn't break dancing. She wasn't talking about pimp me out. She made the world respect her people. So I want to thank Reverend Jackson and Mr. Jackson and others that taught us a little younger.
Reverend Al Sharpton. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is our co-host. Don't forget, Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live this weekend, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, and you don't want to miss it. We will be just about halfway down this count toward what they're going to do about funding the spending bill in terms of ICE, whether they're going to make the changes that have been stipulated by the Democrats, or whether they're going to go back into a shutdown of government. They'll be halfway through. I'm going to have on some of those in the Senate and Congress that are in the middle of negotiations on where we are, what needs to be done. We're going to talk about what is going on in terms of Minneapolis, being that they said they have toned down. Trump says he's withdrawn 700 ICE agents or Department of Homeland Security agents. Going to deal with that. Going to, of course, deal with Black History Month. And must deal with the state of voting, with the raid on Fulton County. And I had the mayor, the congresswoman of that district on last week. What is it on national level? You've got the Supreme Court still sitting there not having ruled on Section 2. Please, please, please watch Politics Nation both nights. I'm going to have those in the room, the governors, the senators. Also, I want to deal with Governor Westmore on their redistricting in Maryland. They jumped from Texas now to Maryland, and how some of the ministers there are helping Westmore lead the fight to really stop that redistrict fight in Maryland. So Politics Nation both nights, Saturday and Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC. And, of course, you that are in the New York and vicinity area, that's New Jersey, that's Connecticut, I'm excited about Saturday. We start at the Mother Zion AME Church. The House of Justice is moving temporarily there on Saturdays until our building is ready. And it'll be about 4 weeks to 4 weekends of Black History Month. Historic Church, where Sojourner Truth ran underground through the Madam C.J. Walker's funeral was there. Paul Robeson was a member of that church. His brother was a pastor. So we're going to Historic Church. You can see the museum in the basement of the church of all of the people. Frederick Douglass spoke at that church. And you can see the museum there, and we're going to deal with Black History Month there every Saturday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And as normal, we'll broadcast live. You around the country and around the world can watch it live on Impact Television or at nationalactionnetwork.net. And the convention, people are signing up. I can tell you that if you've ever been to a NAN convention, you know there's nothing like it. We've had everybody from presidents, presidential candidates, to top entertainers, all the way down to just grassroots organizers, to economists, to academicians. And all of that is going to be there this year. I'm not dropping names until probably middle of next week, but I have said Don Lemon is on the media panel, but that's about all I've announced. But I can tell you, you'll want to be in the house, and don't wait till the last 2 weeks and then get at the end of the list and we say lists are closed. Why sign? It's free. You have nothing but just to sign in or call in. The reason we do that is when a ballroom fills up, we go by the list and say, oh, no, they pre-registered, they're in. Because when we see it's like 100 seats or 50 seats left, we stop and only go by the list. So sign up. Say, I'll only be there one day. I'll only be there 3 days of the 4. I'll be there the whole 4. Whatever you can do, but sign up. And I knew that as of yesterday, we were almost, we well over 3,000 that had pre-registered, and we're more than 2 months out. So I'm telling you, it's in your interest to sign up. And you'll get to see Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin in person. She's the co-chair of the board. She'll be there every day all over the place. And you'll get to see her in person. You say, what workshop she going to do? She usually does criminal justice and all, but, I throw her in anything. If she see me come down the hall, she try to hide because she know I'm going to say, Jenny should get up there on that. Let's go to back to the phone. Let's go to Sky in Richmond, Virginia. Sky.
I Sharpton. I kind of logged on kind of late on your show, but I just have a couple of things I'd like to highlight what's on my mind. First of all, I would like to talk briefly about the real estate here in Richmond, how I bought my house like 30 years ago, and I paid $69,000. Now the house is worth $350,000. It's a really small house. It's not that big, but it's located like right in the center of downtown and the airport. But I noticed in my neighborhood was predominantly black. Now it's turning to a mixed race of Asian, white people. It just, they taking over the property here, and they're building a lot of high rises, which they are putting the people, because they're knocking down the projects here and they're putting the people in the high rises. So it's another project place. But overall, that's what I want to say about one thing. Another thing I want to talk about, like I said, what's on my mind is Epstein. I don't think Epstein is really dead because, you didn't hear anything about a funeral and nothing like that. And then I think they lost 2 minutes of it was edited. The videos and everything was edited when they removed him from the cell. So something is not right with that situation. Also, I would like to talk about how in the continent, in the United States, we have all races, every nationality. You're not going to find that in the other 6 continents, but only in the United States, you're going to find every race out there. And lately I've been going to the VCU because I'm doing some dentistry work, and we used to have the immigrants, a lot of Hispanic, because they give you a discount price on when you're having work done on your teeth. And now I go up there, it's empty, and the people that you do see coming in for that type of services are Asian people, Arabic people. So once again, they're taking over that. Then also, I would like to talk about martial law, since you got the Attorney General on, how Donald Trump is getting away with declaring martial law on these states that the governors did not ask for help, how he's going against the Senate and dropping bombs. Nobody knows about it. Also, I want to talk about the Grammy. This one guy, Bad Somebody, he made I was just in love the way he expressed himself about, his people. And he said, we're not savage, we're not animals, we are not aliens, we are human, we are Americans. And he said the only thing more powerful than hate is love. That was just something unbelievable he said out of his mouth. And then now we went from, and I know quite a few people are still living as far as the Gestapo, the Nazi area, that used to be the Gestapo, now a.k.a. Proud Boys, a.k.a. ICE. Yes, they need to get out of Minnesota, the ICE people, and I would really love for them to take their mask off. Those who's going around killing, Renee Good, she died. Alex, I forgot his last name, and that's just a tragic loss, And so this administration here is so aggressive. And one more thing, with the voting coming up, they are doing a lot of rezoning. They are putting
that's the whole redistricting fight, and you touched on a lot. But thank you for your call. And I think that the redistricting fight and the gentrification that you talked about, all of that is going to be a factor, the factors in the midterm elections. I can tell you, we're going to focus a lot in the convention, NANCE convention, on voting rights and gentrification and this redistricting fight. And we'll have a lot of the senators and presidential candidates there because they're going to go all out to try their best to not have the Democrats take over the House, because then everything that is proposed by the Democrats, the president wants through, the Democrats be able to block it. Democrats have the gavel. Democrats are chair the committees. This is very serious, Jenny. So people just need to understand this isn't about whether you like Democrats or Republicans is, do you want a balance of power?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Remember, what was happening before Donald Trump got back in office was they wanted to diminish the powers of the federal government and cede more control and authority to the states because they didn't know, with the browning of America, whether or not white Americans could still dominate at the federal level. And so now what they're trying to do now that they are in control is to do the flip. They're trying to weaken the authority now of the states, because if they can hold on to the House, if they can hold on to the Senate, and if they can hold on to the White House, they can continue to put in place national law that compromises, Americans and mainly people of color and low-income people, and they can continue to, to do their dastardly deeds. So it's interesting. They want to weaken states now and weaken voting and the like. They want the gerrymandering and all of that because they want to preserve power in the interest of white leaders. And what they're finding is now they don't have to go the route of weakening federal government if they don't have to, because they've got the authority right now.
And that is the bottom line. I hear the music. We're going to have to go. Let me thank Attorney Jennifer Jones-Austin. Let me thank all of you that called in, listened in, you that called in and couldn't get through, but hung in there anyhow. Remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell anybody, tell everybody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real.